Alright, what's up everyone? This is JP from Team Meta Club. We're going to be doing a deck profile on Anthony's deck today, so go ahead and give us what you want to do.
What's going on, man? So, going back to my roots, playing Cell before, I think it was like January, February, the cameraman and I, we were the only two that were considered the Cell/Android players. So,
oh yeah, you're right. I was like, wait, you mean Claudio? But I'm the cameraman today.
So, trying to bring Cell back now that Mecha Frieza has been eroded and the game has been slowed down a little bit. I think Cell has a chance to come back up. Cell ability, once per turn you can place a card underneath and pop one of your battle cards for 3 or less. When you awaken, you draw 2. On its awakened side, once per turn, you can place a card under, draw 2 cards, and second ability, if you have 2 underneath, you can remove those 2 and pop any battle card from your opponent's side. There's a lot of cards that are running around now. The only problem with it is Barrier. Barrier is hard to get around, but with so many decks playing so many cards like Ginyu, you know, you've got Kabas and a lot of things to worry about. Cell takes care of a lot of those cards. So for the deck, we're going to start off with 2 Cell's Birth. It's a single green cost. Usually that's the first play if I'm not playing the Dr. Gero Android. So what this does is it removes 2 costs from the Cell chain itself. Still have to pay the required cost, so it's still a 2 on the baby Cell. But for the other 2, it's a 3 costs and 5 costs. So I only run 2 because when I start seeing it later on, it becomes a real problem. It basically becomes nothing in the deck. 4, 3, 4. The reason why I'm doing 3 on the 5-drop Cell is because I run one of these. This helps me awaken, but besides that, the Cell chain is pretty simple. You play the Cell, Union Absorb, drop a 17 underneath, you get to draw 1 and then pop one of your opponent's battle cards, and then you go into the 7-drop. What the 7-drop does is your opponent has to discard until they have 3 cards left in their hand. With, you know, playing a low hand count is terrible. Anybody who's ever played that knows having 3 cards in your hand puts you in a scary situation, especially later on in the game. So that's the Cell chain. Very standard across the board. Next, I'm running 4 of the Dr. Gero's Evil Inventor. What really helped the Cell deck was when this came out in set 3, because it allows you to look at the top 3 and choose 1 android and add it to your hand. So the original Gero allowed you to choose 1 android with the name android. This one actually lets you look for your Cell chain, also lets you look for your Miras and other cards. So this card is really good. If I don't have this turn 1, then I'm going to play Cell's Birth. But most of the time, I'm going to run the Cell's Birth first. Or I'm going to run the Inventor first to help me look for my cards and thin out my deck. And then the 2 Creator Android 20. Like I said, this one lets you search for a specific android with android in its name. So I like to run 2 because it'll help me search out for my 16s, or if I'm missing a piece from the Cell chain, I'll go out and specifically grab that one. So I run 4 of the Dreadful Duo 17 and 1 of the Chilling Terror 17. The reason why I didn't run any of the Twin Brother 17 was because it didn't help me out in any way in any of the decks. So this 17 is a crit, which is already a plus. Second, on top of that, I can pay 1 green cost and send out 1 18 from my hand. So I found this guy way more useful, and I kept 1 Chilling Terror 17 just because there are still decks out there that play cards that when they awaken they draw 2. So it's not a must that I play that, but if there's a situation where I know it's coming and I have the ability to play it, I will. So that's the 17 lineup. The 18 lineup, basic 4 Twin Sister 18. The only reason why I'm playing this one is because when I attack with it, I can pitch a card from my hand and I can make my 17 active. So now I can swing twice crit. That's the only reason why I run that 18. I know it's nice to have the other 18 that if you pop a card, the 18 can pop a card, but there's not many situations that really help me out in that deck. So I run 4 of these just to untap the 17. So at one point, I could play the 17, swing, bring an 18 out, swing with the 18, tap another energy, and bring two 18s out, and then be able to swing 3 times. So basically, it's an unlimited combination, which is really awesome when it works out. To round out the Android line, I run 4 Android 16. This card is amazing. When you combo it, your opponent has to take 1 card from their hand and throw it away. So imagine dropping the 7-drop. You have 3 cards left, attacking, playing that, and now you're down to 2. And it just creates a big problem for your hand, and you're having a hard time trying to come back. So for the black cards, I run 3 Time Patrol Trunks. These are to correct the deck. So there's a lot of times when, and a lot of cell players know, that you start drawing into your cell chain and you're 2 or 3 in. So by having the trunks, it really cleans up the deck, because if you do see that 7 or 5 drop, all you have to do is take the other card and put it on the bottom, and put the 7 drop on the bottom. So this card's really good. I run only 2 Destruction Mira. This card is amazing. Overwhelm 3, and when it's overwhelmed, your opponent has to pitch a card from their hand. So now imagine 7-drop cell, and I'm attacking, and then you're down to 2, and then I drop a Mira, now you're down to 1. And if I have 2 of those 16s, now you have no cards in your hand, which is ridiculous. Running only 1 Mass Saiyan. This is to help, like I said, with the veggie lineup, with decks that are playing, multiple boos. This is going to be your field removal card. For the extras, running 3 Create Android. This is another card that also helps correct the deck.
You mean 4?
Yeah, 4. What did I say, 3?
Yeah, you said 3.
Oh, okay, 4, sorry. So, if my leader is an Android, I can draw 2 cards and pitch 1. This card really helps. It's always a plus. And the last extra card is 4 Speedy Surprise Attack. This card is amazing. If your opponent attacks, you can negate the attack, and you pitch 1 card from your hand, and you can pop a battle card that's 3 or less. So if they're trying to swing with a big body 7 5-dropper and they've got one of their 3 drops untapped and they want to attack with it, basically you negate the attack and you remove another attacker. I have 3 cards flip face up. These were another Mass Saiyan, another Chilling, and another Cell's Birth, but playing today, the problem I found was Awakening. So these are 3 Tien. If you don't know what Tien does, when you get attacked or when you're attacking, you pay 2 mana, play the Tien face up in active mode, and you can take 1 from your life to the hand, take 1 from the life, put it in the discard, and pop one of your opponent's battle cards. Like I said, the problem is Awakening, and you always want to awaken. So those are my 3 Awaken cards. That's the deck.
Overall, how'd you do today?
It did pretty good. The only problem was barriers and milling. I mean, not milling. Drawing the Android lineup yourself, or the cell chain yourself. I drew, after the mulligan, 2 7-drops, and I had 4 16s in my hand, which sucked. So any cell player knows that you do have the potential of drawing your 7-drops and messing up your chain. But overall, the deck is good. A little more experimenting, a little more play testing. Should be able to find out what's missing.
All right, man. That was good, man. I hope to see you again with that deck, and hopefully it's completed, and you do, don't draw into the 7-drops anymore.
For sure.
All right, but thanks for Jack's profile, man.
Yes, sir.